Hi everyone, welcome back to this final video on the different types of computers. So today I'll be discussing motherboards. PC motherboards, the basics. Intel created the Atx Form Factor and first introduced it in 1995. For nearly 25 years. The ATX design has been the predominant form factor for home and office PCs. The largest of the three motherboard sizes we're looking at, the ATX, measures 12 inches by 9.6 inches. The specification requires all TX motherboards to be this size. It also specifies the location of the mount points, the input-output panel, the power connectors, and all other various connection interfaces. All of these features are crucial for any motherboard. The mounting points keep the motherboard away from the case's metallic surface to prevent electric shorts. The input-output panel and the accompanying shield allow you to access your PC's rear ports for display, audio and USB. Then you have the power connectors and all of the other interface points that must be in predictable locations to aid system builders. However, not everyone wants an ATX size motherboard, especially if the goal is to make something more compact. Enter micro ATX ports, which measure just 9 inches by 9.6 inches. Like the larger ATX motherboards, the standard determines what all the various critical points must be. Finally, the mini ATX, developed by VIA Technologies in 2001, is the smallest of them all, measuring a mere 6.7 inches by 6.7 inches. ATX motherboards have the most expandability. They typically have 6 or fewer PCI Express slots for things like graphics, sound, network cards. However, there are extended ATX boards that have 7 PCI slots, but those are aimed at enthusiasts and servers. The micro ATX can have up to 4 PCI Express slots, while the mini ITX has just one for a graphics card. RAM is also limited to mini ITX. It has room for just 2 slots versus 4 on the ATX or micro ATX boards. This doesn't mean mini ITX boards can't have a healthy amount of RAM, though. For example, if you want 32 gigs of RAM, you just need put 2 16 gig modules on it, whereas the other two motherboards you fill with 8 gig modules. Gaming. If you're first time creating a gaming PC, then an ATX board is probably your best choice, with the micro ATX coming in second. The larger amount of space you get with the ATX makes it more forgiving, and you can slot all the various components into place with relative ease. While ATX is great, there's no reason to stay away from a micro ATX if you're a newbie and want something a little more compact. Putting everything together is a bit tighter but still doable. If you decide to go with a micro ATX, though, pay attention to the case size. If you don't want a case that also accepts ATX, if you want to build something smaller. Also, some micro ATX cases are slightly wider than ATX friendly mid-towers, so look carefully at these dimensions. Mini ITX is the hardest of the three for gaming because there's very little room inside the case. You can create a solid gaming PC with a mini ITX board, but you have to carefully consider headroom from the graphics card, airflow and cooling. There isn't a lot of room in a dedicated mini ITX case, especially compared to a full ATX case. Home theater PC, HTPC. Quite often, space is the prime consideration when you add another device to an already overflowing living room entertainment center. This is where mini ITX really shines, as you get a full living room PC in a diminutive case. Of course, you can purchase an ATX case that works with mini ITX boards. If you want it to fit on a shelf under your TV, you need something more compact. We'd remiss if we didn't mention an even smaller motherboard from Intel called the NUC. Intel introduced NUC kits as a way to build tiny yet compatible computers. NUC motherboards typically measure 4 by 4 inches and cases are very tight fit. Usually you buy NUCs in a kit that includes the motherboard, processor, discrete graphics and RAM. It's up to you to add storage and peripherals. However, current NUCs do not accept full-size graphics cards, so an NUC only works if you want a PC primarily for video streaming, home, media library management or casual games. The future. As mentioned previously, ATX is an old specification. In the technology world, it's hard to discuss anything with that kind of staying power. Intel tried to introduce a replacement for ATX called BTX in 2004, but it never caught on. Computer manufacturers are still experimenting with alternatives to ATX. However, at Computex 2019, Asus showed off a high-end motherboard concept called Prime Utopia. It looked very cool and completely different from anything we have now. It's a two-sided motherboard with cool and completely different from anything. Okay, it's a two-sided motherboard with voltage regulator modules on the back, where they can be more easily cooled and thus boost performance. The graphics card is on the rear in a dedicated chamber for better cooling, and it's mounted vertically for more stability. Asus made the input-output ports smaller. This means you can pop in only what you need, like additional Ethernet ports or a whole lot of USB, and you can dump the mic and headphone ports altogether. And since having the graphics card in the rear frees up somewhat space and alleviates heat considerations, the Utopia also has 4 M2 slots. Concepts like the Prime Utopia are great, but it's unlikely we'll see a shift away from ATX in the near future. ATX and its related standards have served the PC enthusiast community well for several decades now. Everyone is used to them, and the best practices for building, maintaining and cooling these PCs are well established. All three of these motherboards types are quite capable of getting any job done. Your ultimate choice depends on the amount of space you have, your level of PC building experience, and whether you want expandability for the future. So here I just put in some pictures. This is a full tower which would use the ATX motherboard. This is a mini tower which would probably use the mini ATX, and here we have a server which would use obviously the ATX motherboard. So I hope you liked this video, so please give me a thumbs up and please like and subscribe. Thanks very much.